Americans have used marijuana. Half of the country, and that's just the people who are being honest about it, half of the country has used marijuana, but you can still be denied security clearance and government employment for having once used marijuana. That is plainly stupid and wrong and unfair. And we are disqualifying tens of millions of qualified and excellent job applicants for federal government employment, our fellow citizens, our constituents in Democratic districts and Republican districts. We are disqualifying those people from being federal government employees solely because they've used marijuana. My amendment is one that every member of the House should support. It says that Americans should not be denied a security clearance simply because they have used marijuana. You know, the longer I spend time in Congress, Mr. Speaker, the more I realize that in America, change comes from the states. It comes from the people. That's how we got child labor laws. That's how we got women's suffrage. That's how we got direct election of U.S. senators. And now so too with our draconian, obsolete, and failed marijuana laws. Look what's happening out in America. 18 states, plus Washington, D.C., have now passed laws allowing adult use of marijuana. In other words, they've accepted the anti-prohibition principle that's in our Constitution. It's not that alcohol is so great for everybody in every circumstance, or marijuana is so great for everybody in every circumstance. It's that criminal prohibition and criminalization of large parts of our own population doesn't work. So it's legal in 18 states. In 27 states, it's been decriminalized. In a majority of the states, it's no longer criminal. And in 36 states, the vast majority of America, more than 2/3 of the states, medical use of marijuana has been approved. In other words, it is legal in the vast majority of states of the country to use marijuana for medicinal purposes. What a massive outbreak of common sense in America against the GOP's failed authoritarian war on marijuana that depends on paranoid tropes from the 1970s. It's like they saw reefer madness in middle school and never got over it. I concede our party is not for the kind of cocaine-fueled orgies that a freshman Republican representative bragged about this week, but we do understand that their marijuana prohibition laws don't work for our people. But in any event, Mr. Speaker, we can all agree that we should not be denying our constituents the opportunity to serve in federal office by denying them security clearance simply because they've used marijuana. I reserve.
Reserves. Does anybody claim time in opposition? Gentleman from...
Whether these people should have access to national security sensitive information. The consideration isn't whether the person uses marijuana, it's whether the person is willing to undermine the rule of law. If they can't follow this nation's laws, then we can't expect them to follow the processes to protect our most sensitive information. Further, this amendment reaches back more than 50 years. How many of these people still need, want, or are even eligible for security clearances? No one gets a security clearance just because you want one. You can't just walk up off the street and apply for it. You need to be employed with the federal government or a government contractor, and your employer must need you to have access to the information. Very few people who were denied a security clearance in 1980 are still employed or in or even qualify positions that would require security clearances. Some of the people we are talking about may be retirees in their 80s or 90s. Many of them may have representative payees who are their children or grandchildren. Why would we want to expose the fact that their father, mother, grandfather, grandmother was a marijuana abuser? So the gentleman from Maryland wants the federal government to recreate the security clearance backlog that the Trump administration just cleared up for unneeded reviews and to resurface private information. This amendment makes little sense, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I think the distinguished gentleman seems to concede the general principle that we should not be denying the opportunity of federal employment to half of the country because they've used marijuana before. And so his argument seems to be, well, this would be, we've denied so many people that this would be an imposition on federal bureaucrats to go back and tell people when they've been wronged in the past. Want to make? Let's grow up as a country about this, and let's stop discriminating against.
Interesting amendment. I urge to close.
Gentleman is recognized.
I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment. I yield back the balance of my time.
Of New Jersey.
The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from New Jersey. Members will record their vote by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Tennessee rise?
Madam Speaker, as the member designated by Mr. Bilirakis of Florida, I inform the House that Mr. Bilirakis will vote nay on Amendment Number 1. Madam Speaker, as the member designated by Mr. Comer of Kentucky, I inform the House that Mr. Comer will vote nay on Amendment Number 1. Madam Speaker, as the member designated by Mr. Brooks of Alabama, inform the House that Mr. Brooks will vote nay on Amendment Number 1. Madam Speaker, as the member designated by Mr. Green of Tennessee, I inform the House that Mr. Green will vote nay on Amendment Number 1. And Madam Speaker, as the member designated by Mr. Long of Missouri, I inform the House that Mr. Long will vote nay on Amendment Number 1. Thank you.